In today's quick tips, we're going to show you how I store my quilts. Hi, I'm Kaye England and back with you again today, and we're trying out these little short, quick videos to show you different techniques and different things we're doing. And I've had a lot of questions come up about how on earth do you store all those quilts you own? And folks, let me tell you, I own a passel of them. I have a huge collection of vintage quilts, 19th century quilts, and I've made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And so when you start looking at where on earth are you going to put them, let me share with you one of my premier spaces that I use for my quilts. So behind me, you're going to see a wall of doors. And when I bought this house 15 years ago, one of the things I had to do was to come up with a spot that was really pretty good for storing quilts. So let's take a look. A lot of people, when they see this, are like, oh, you got a few quilts back there. Folks, let me tell you, there's more than a few. There's a set. And then there's another door right here. It's like, what's behind door 2? What's behind door 3? There's another batch. Now, I've got a bunch in an exhibit. I probably got 30 quilts out that would be in here other than what's here. And then another batch right here. Now, I'm just going to kind of step out of the way, and as you pan those, one of the things I'll tell you is traveling and teaching like I do, I have to be able to pack on a dime pretty much. So I can take a look at these, and I have real fancy labeling. A black Sharpie will do the job. I just wrote right on there. Like I store them by which book they're in, by which technique they are, by a lot of different ways that I can quickly go find one. Is it a pattern series? Is it a book? And then over here in this section, what I've got is I have a few antique quilts in here. Most of my antique quilts live otherwise. And then I have the African quilts separated from like holiday quilts, separated from like plate quilts or the ones from the biblical series. So one of the things as you look at this rack of quilts, and if you think I tidied up for this video, I did not. Everything you're looking at is the way they live. When I come home from traveling, the first thing that I do is stack the quilts on this table. They go back in pretty much the same place. I may rotate them a little, and I am religious in the fact that I refold all my quilts almost, I would say monthly. Most of these quilts get rotated and refolded. And I'm a trifolder, as I never fold my quilts in the center. I trifold them and then store them, and then this way I avoid that center crease, which is not healthy for the quilts. So if somebody said, Kaye, where's the quilt from blah, blah book, I could turn around and go to it in about a second. So one of the things that I encourage you to do, whether you have 10 quilts or 200 quilts, one of the things that I would suggest to you that you get in the habit of rotating those quilts, making sure that you check, especially if they're stored like these, where I don't really have the opportunity for moisture to get to them, but heaven, who knows what could happen. So I do periodically just kind of stick my hand in between the quilts. I'll see if there's any moisture. I worry a little bit. In the summer, I do run a dehumidifier just to kind of keep the moisture level, because I am on the lower level of the house. So in order to make sure that I'm not going to get any condensation, I do that. So this kind of gives you a little bit of a peek, and truly, this is like my workroom. So if I was a mechanic, this would be my tools. Now I'm in another little nook and cranny. I love this house because it's filled with this, and this is a room that I keep most all of my 1930s quilts in. And it's where there is no daylight window. So everything is well protected away from the sunlight, which I'm real careful about storing these quilts. And as you look, most of these are my 1930s fabrics. There's a few vintage 1930s in here, but I work quite a bit in this time period. And it's easier for me if I keep them separated, because if I have to do a workshop on a specific technique, it's easy for me to just pop in here and pull the quilts. And this is really one of my favorite rooms to come in. If you kind of notice, there's a permanent Christmas tree that stays up. I call it my hillbilly Christmas tree. And I'm a chicken person, so lots of chickens live everywhere in my house. But I think it's fun to see this. And my vintage quilts live throughout in closets, and I'll have quilts across the foot of the beds, that type of thing. I live with my quilts. I use them, I enjoy them, and I would encourage you to do so. So if you've got a really neat way you store your quilts, I don't care if you have 3 or 33, we'd love to see how you store your quilts. Thanks for joining us today. See you later.